This is Chuck Scoop with an update on the homework dog conflict. Last week, Officer Lima uncovered evidence that seemed to point to the fact that homework is now eating dogs. Last week, we had interviews with Principal Pinto of the Beantown Elementary School and also with Algebra of the Homework Association. Today in the studios, we have Chief Sparks, who's representing the dog side, and representing the homework, Mr. Algebra. Gentlemen, thank you both for appearing today in the studios.
Well, thank you, Chuck, but I wish I could say that I was happy to be here, but the past 3 or 4 weeks has been very, very stressful for the dog community. We've lost a lot of friends in the past few weeks. Dogs are disappearing at an alarming rate, and it's all the homework's fault.
I object to that. How can you claim that it is all the homework's fault? Maybe the dogs are just disappearing by themselves. Or did you ever think that the dogs started this in the first place?
Well, it wasn't our fault. We didn't think of the idea. It was the Sprouts who started it in the first place. They started telling everybody that we were eating the homework. And after a while, we felt it was our responsibility to help them out. So we started to eat the homework. We didn't know.
There you go, blaming it on the Sprouts. You think just because they said it was true that you had to do it? You didn't have to do it. You have to take some responsibility for this.
Well, maybe that was true in the past, but now it seems that you guys are overreacting, and it's tipped the balance in your favor. There are more dogs being eaten by homework than vice versa.
Well, of course, what did you expect? We have to try to even the score? This has been going on for years. How many millions of homeworks were eaten by the dogs before we decided to do something about this?
We're going to take this line down?
It was day after day, year after year. Decade after decade, century after century. Dogs eating the homework, and homework doing nothing about it. Finally, we got sick of it. Now this is what you got.
We have to restore some order here. We have to get some kind of solution so that all of Beantown doesn't go crazy over this issue. Right now, we have a special guest, Mrs. Kavanaugh Stewart. Her grandson, Stuart, is in the studios right now. Stuart, welcome.
Well, thank you, Chuck, but I'm a little nervous to be here, actually.
Well, you should be. Look what you started, Stuart, you and your Sprouts.
Well, I realize that, Chief Sparks, and I apologize.
Well, you should apologize. You started all of this years ago when you started telling all the teachers that dogs were eating the homework.
Well, I mean, what would you do, Chief Sparks? I mean, it's easy to blame a dog. Well, who else you gonna blame but your best friend? I mean, that's what best friends are for, to, take the blame when you don't do your homework.
Well, that's not what you do to a best friend, is it? I mean, look what's happened now. The dogs have been missing because they've been eaten by some crazy homework.
At this point, we'd like to bring in a surprise guest. Principal Pinto from the Beantown Elementary School. Well, Principal Pinto, you've been listening in the other studio. What do you make of all of this?
Well, Chuck, this is very distressing to think that we believed the Sprouts, that the dogs had actually eaten their homework. We thought it was true. And now to find out that we've been fooled and that the Sprouts lied about this is shocking. Well, Stuart, I think you owe an apology to every bean here for what's occurred in the past few weeks. I'm sorry. I apologize, and I want to apologize on the behalf of all of the Sprouts in Beantown. We don't want any more homework eaten by the dogs, and we certainly don't want any dogs to be eaten by homework.
Well, that's good enough for me. I mean, I'm willing to lay down and talk about peace here, Al.
Well, it was a very moving testimonial on the part of Stuart. Congratulations for having the courage to come forth. And yes, it's been a terrible tragedy, and I agree. I think it's time to make peace.
Well, there you have it, folks. Chuck Scoop for WBEA News. Well, I guess that'll put an end to the silliness of dogs eating homework and homework eating dogs. And now maybe we can move forward. Good night, and thank you for tuning in.